Advanced Health Sciences Psychology, Virtual Interactive Notebook for Personality, Day 7, Regional Differences. I absolutely love this one. This is my favorite day in personality psychology by far. I think it's fascinating. Your essential question today is, how does personality vary by region? Now remember, this is decent science. This stuff has been, this is not just someone thinking stuff up. This is decent science. Main idea is regional differences. For your subtopics, not applicable because you're just going to copy a chart below. This comes from Chapter 14, Section 8. And again, it's pretty settled science. So the big five is not the end-all be-all in personality psychology, right? Because if you've traveled across the country, you know there are regional differences in how people are. You can see this in driving. For example, my wife and I drove across the entire country, and we found that when we were on the East Coast, people are, I called it faith-based driving. They just pull onto a freeway and just floor it. Speed limits, what's that? I think they think that getting speeding tickets is probably just a natural part of life, right? Like, oh, it's cloudy today. Oh, I got a speeding ticket. Very aggressive drivers. And then when we cross back through the Midwest, everybody's very polite, and basically all the way to the West Coast. Now, in California, in Los Angeles and San Francisco, drivers there are positively predatory, especially San Francisco. I had more swearing and people flipping me off for obeying basic traffic laws, right, than I've ever seen. In Texas, I've driven in Texas recently. People are really, really stressed, but they don't flip you off as much. And they drive way too fast. And when I was in Texas, everybody had a giant pickup truck that they just floored all the time. They're just constantly accelerating on the highway. You get on an on-ramp and you are accelerating until you hit an off-ramp, just as fast as you can go. Screw the government. Nobody cares. I don't know. So you can see this in driving. When I was in the Army, I saw this all the time. I go to teacher conferences that are national conferences, and I see this all the time. Okay, so let's go. We have personality clusters by region. So on your notes, I want you to create the chart that I presented here. I want region on the left and cultural traits on the right. People from the upper Midwest and the deep South, so we're talking about Nebraska and Georgia, tend to be friendly and conventional. And when I go to teacher conferences, these people tend to be the people who say hello to me first, and they tend to have sort of traditional views on things. Now, that's not, you can't take an entire, there are places, it's not 100%, but that's what the tendency is. So if I was at a teacher conference now and they said, oh, what did you do during the quarantine for fun? And I said, well, I made a crossbow. Which I did. I scratch built a crossbow out of just garbage I have lying around. People from the upper Midwest and deep South would do something like this. Oh, really? Huh. They would do something like that. And they do, because that's okay. So people from the West tend to be relaxed and creative. Right? So everybody I know from Oregon, right, in California. So we're at a teacher conference, and the people are from Washington, Oregon, and California. And they say, oh, what did you do during the quarantine to relax? And I said, oh, I made a crossbow. Really? That's amazing. How did you do that? That's probably what you guys think. Well, you're from here. Okay? Now, people from the Northeast and Texas tend to be... This is hilarious. My dad's from Texas. They tend to be stressed, irritable, and depressed. Bingo! All right. So I go to a conference, and this is what's going to happen. I go to a conference, and there's someone there from New York. Hey, so, first of all, first thing I know is where they're from. And, right, people from the East Coast tend to carve out a space in a group. Hey, this is who I am, right? This is who I am. This is what I'm about. And it's not bad. Right? It's just not what I'm used to. So they're a lot, right? People from the East Coast are a lot, all at once. Okay, let's just say that. If you're from the East Coast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's not pretend. Okay, so I'm at a conference and I'm talking to someone from New York, right? So they say, "Hey, so what did you do during the quarantine, to kind of take your mind off things?" Well, I built a crossbow out of garbage I found in my garage. Oh, yeah? My uncle used to have a crossbow. Yeah, we used to go, we used to shoot like tree stumps with that. That was awesome. I was pretty good at it. Anyway, where are we going for dinner? Right? That's what's going to happen, right? So stressed, irritable, and depressed, maybe a little less sensitive, right? Maybe a little quicker to get mad, right? They can be a bit much. When I was in the Army, those of us who were from the South and the Midwest and the West, all of us talked about these guys from New York, right? Man, those guys are a lot. Those guys are a lot, right? And it wasn't bad. Some of my favorite people were from New York, but there was no doubt as to what they thought at any given time. They would just tell you, right? And they were pretty easy to make angry sometimes. Okay. All right, so I think that's really interesting. I love this. And it is, again, it's science. I'm not just making it up. So for your output, I want you to draw a picture of the country and draw a person in each of the 3 regions and draw their personality into them. So someone from the West might be, hey, they might be painting a picture, for example. Okay? All right, good luck on the test. We only have 1 more unit to go, and then the year's over. So hope you're happy and healthy. Bye-bye.